Hello, welcome to another episode of Thrifty Broadcast. I am Malik Mnela, and I'm here to share with you, fellow journalists, on cheaper ways of broadcasting. In this episode, we are going to talk about point to point broadcast using computer on both ends. So, this is otherwise known as peer to peer transmission. So what happens basically is that you have a computer on one end, say at a remote location where an event is scheduled to take place. Then you are going to transmit from that location to your studio using what is called SRT, Secure Reliable Transport, as we discussed last week. So just a recap in case you're just joining us, I'll be sharing my screen right now to show you what needs to be done in order to successfully configure your network. So you will need to configure your network in terms of connecting all your devices. Now, to connect all your devices, there we go. To connect your devices is what will enable you to achieve transporting your signal from your laptop, which is at a remote location, to the desktop, which is in your studio. Now, in this particular episode, we will be talking about how SRT, Secure Reliable Transport, can be utilized. And if you now shortly I'll be sharing my screen once again to show you as a matter of recap, because this is something that we discussed in our previous episode about creating a network, a virtual network. So if you can see right about now on the screen, you can see that there is a website there for Tailscale. So if you go to this particular website, you are going to download the application, or either on iOS, on Windows, on your Android phone, or on your iOS gadget. Now, as you can see on the screen there, you will log in using your own email. So that will ensure that all the devices that are connected are truly your own. And as you can see below there, there are IP addresses that are connected to your network, and there is a phone there signaling that the device is connected. So these are the critical components that we will need in order to create our linkages. But also what we discussed last week is also the OBS. The OBS software is a software that you can download on that particular page, whereby you can go for Windows. If your machine is a Windows, you can use a Mac operating system, or Linux, whatever it works for you. Now, we also have the Larix broadcaster or Larix player. In this particular case, we are going to give you a bonus tip. And that bonus tip will be how you can receive studio feedback right at your remote location. This will come in two ways. We're going to use Larix Broadcaster, a software that we used last week in the last episode, which will receive only audio. But we are also going to show you how you can transmit signal from your studio to your handheld device right in your remote location. So that will be the Larix broadcaster. But then in this particular episode, we are also using vMix, as you can see on the shared screen there. vMix can be downloaded for free, and you can use it for 60 days for free. So I encourage you to download vMix, as you can see there, in particular here, where there is that cursor. You can just click there, and you can download the vMix. But take note that vMix will only work on Windows machines. So you have Tailscale configured, you have Open Broadcaster software downloaded, you have got Larix Broadcaster configured and downloaded on your devices, you've got the Larix player or Larix player or broadcaster configured. Now it means that you have a system. Now we will go to the main presentation for the day. This presentation, as you have seen there, is talking about SRT. How is it going to transmit to OBS with the aid of Tailscale using vMix as well as Larix Broadcaster or Larix software. Now, why do we need to do this particular kind of setup? You will understand and appreciate that outside broadcasting is a very, very expensive endeavor. As you can see on the pictures on the screen now, you will realize that you will need a van which will cost millions of US dollars, and in some African currencies that would be billions. So there are a number of ways of bringing in live feed from a remote location. We are talking of smaller vans, which are still in millions. We are talking of huge vans, as you can see below there, very, very high investments. Then there is some investment such as the LiveView Solo, which is relatively expensive, but it could be expensive for most African broadcasters. Now, these costs are high in terms of capital expenditure. Capital expenditure entails acquisition costs, you know, to buy those tracks, to buy the switchers, the cameras, and all those things that are required is quite an enormous task. But also in OPEX, operation expenditure, you realize that for you to manage the LiveView Solo, for instance, it costs around $450 per annum. So that's kind of a huge cost. Now, what we are going to do today is that we are going to do it using readily available resources. Now, what you are going to do basically is that you are going to set your camera and video switcher at a remote location where you'll be streaming from. Now, the desktop will be at the broadcast house, the laptop will be at the remote location. We recommend that you have battery powered internet for that to work effectively, because when you are in a remote location, sometimes, especially considering the African scenario, where power is a huge disappointment, you will do better with battery powered internet routers. You can use an iPad for TALKBAck. In this demonstration, we are going to use my phone. This is a Samsung A53, quite a good phone, but also you can utilize an iPad. So back to the presentation. Now the iPad, I mean rather the phone can also be used to do what we call tail dropping. Tail dropping is whereby you can bring in images in almost real time. You just shoot the images and transmit them right away, and the one who is producing in the studio should be able to receive those signals. For instance, let me just do a live demo just in case it illustrates the point that I really want to make. So you will see that this I'm taking a photo right now. I've taken a photo, so I will go to my photo gallery, which is here. Then from my photo gallery, if you can see, I will just click here. Then I will choose where I want to send this signal. So you'll find out that I will get to Tailscale here. Then the Tailscale will tell me the devices that are connected. For instance, I want to send to iHub Studio. I will just click there, and it will show me that it is transmitting something. So when the iHub Studio network is activated, the picture will be received right at that particular time. So let's go now to the presentation. Now, we have talked about installing the Tailscale, the OBS, vMix, and Blarix broadcaster already. Now that we have talked about those, we need to escalate, and we have already talked about what needs to happen at the remote location. You prepare your cameras, your video switcher, you configure broadcast in OBS. Then we are assuming in this case that at the remote location, you are going to use OBS, and in the studio, you are going to use vMix. So now, at the remote location, in terms of configuration, you will need to configure SRT stream using Tailscale issued IP address and open ports. So in any case, you can use 192.168 if that is the IP address that you have all the way to the end, and you might use port, let's say common port is 5000. Then once you do that, in the stream settings in your OBS configuration, perhaps I need to go to my OBS. I need to go to my OBS just to share with you. Okay, let me go to OBS. Let me open OBS. Where are we? All right, there we go. Now, this is just for demonstration purposes. So you'll find out that on the OBS, you are going to put your input here. Then on the stream settings, you come here, settings, then you come here to stream. Now you will hit custom here. Then here you are going to write in small letters SRT://. Now where I'm writing Studio PC, you are going to put the main studio public IP if you have one, or if you are using a VPN as we are doing now, you are going to use the Studio PC granted IP address by Tailscale. So we are talking about the Tailscale issued public IP in this particular case. Then we are going to put port number. In this case, we have said that port number is 5000, and we are going to put what we call arguments. In this case, it's a question mark. Then you put caller equals mode. In this way, we are telling the server that this particular signal is going out in caller mode. Because let's recall, SRT has 3 modes of transmission. There is one, which is caller, which we are using in this particular case. Then there is 2, which is listener, which will listen to any signal that is coming to a designated port. Then 3, we have got what is called as rendezvous, which will work on either ends, whether the ping will come from the caller end or the receiver end. Whichever comes first, the machines are going to, communicate together. So now that we have configured the OBS using Tailscale, we are now going to ensure that we have Tailscale configured all the time. So in the main studio, we are going to open our vMix. Then the only thing that we are going to do, we are going to go to input on vMix. Then having gone to input, we are going to go where there is SRT. We are going to click there. Then we are going to open SRT input, where we are going to write again, as you can see on the screen there, SRT. Then we are going to insert the studio IP address. Then we are going to put the port number. In this example, we are saying it's 5000. Then we are going to select, unlike in OBS where you have to write it down, in this case you are going to select listener. Now on the Studio PC, you activate Tailscale, you input SRT stream settings as listener, and you enter the port number, the correct port number that's in vMix. So once you are done that, you are done. Then the next thing is that now once you go to OBS, in OBS you will have concluded, in this case, because it's not a numeric IP address or server IP configuration that we have done there, so it will not work. But then you would have saved. Then you will come here, then you will write start streaming. Right now it's telling me failed to connect to server because there is no IP address really. I've just written in words. I should have put a proper IP address and a proper port number, which would have enabled me to stream. In this particular case, once I send that signal, I should have been able to stream right away from the remote location to where I from the remote location to the main studio. So let's go back to the presentation. Now, from vMix, you are going to use the usual setup that you use when you want to stream to any particular CDN, whether it be Facebook or YouTube. So you once you start streaming from your remote location on your OBS on your laptop, you should be able to receive the signal in the studio. Perhaps you only have a delay of about 3 seconds. That's how much we have had. If not, you need to check on your internet. You need to check whether you have designated a proper port, or you will need to make sure that all your settings are configured in the right way. So now let's talk about bonus tips. The first bonus tip that we're talking about today is how you can transmit studio signal to your remote reporter. A reporter is at a remote location. Now, how are you going to transmit signal from studio to that particular reporter? So in vMix, you go to setup SRT, you output it as caller. Remember, the incoming signal, vMix is listening, but for the outgoing signal, in this particular case, vMix is calling. So once you set your vMix to caller, it should now be able to call the Larix broadcaster. Now, there are two things to strictly consider here. In Larix player or Larix broadcaster, you have to set up SRT input specifying the unique port number. The port number that we used previously is 5000. So in this particular case, we have to ensure that we are designating a different port altogether. So if we used 5000, we are going to use another port number, which could be 5600 or 6000 or maybe 12,000, port 16,000, whichever port could work for you. So in this particular case, let me just do a small demonstration. I had already pre-configured. So because I've configured in TALKBACK, you can already see that the audio is coming in. All right, so that's how we simply have to do this particular configuration. So that loopback is occurring because we are transmitting the same audio. But what I just wanted to demonstrate was that you are able to transmit audio from your studio to your reporter. This is not connected on the local network. This is connected on the on the wide network. This, I'm using my 4G network on my SIM card on my phone internet, and the studio machine is using a studio router on a different network altogether. We are not on the same network. Now let me just go again to my pre-configured setting, which is in Larix player. Now in Larix player, you realize that the difference is that I'll be transmitting audio. I mean, I'll be transmitting video. So So the video that you've just seen here is video that is coming from the studio. Now, assuming I was away, maybe 50 kilometers, 30 kilometers, 100 kilometers, the same would have been achieved. I would have configured, and this kind of setting is the setting that I would normally use. Wherever I go, I just take the phone, then automatically the network is activated, the signal is transmitted. So that's how easy things can get. So that is IFB. We have done the first one. If we want to just get audio, maybe it can be motivated by the fact that our signal is horrible where we are, or we want to target camera persons with the video feedback as well as the audio feedback, so that they should be able to monitor whatever is happening or whatever is going to program, whatever is going on air. Then in that case, we can use an application such as Larix Player. So Larix Player is for those that are interested in audio-visual content, but Larix Broadcaster is for those that are only interested in audio for monitoring. So now let's wrap up the presentation with the understanding that tail drop can also be used. As I illustrated earlier on, it is interesting to note that you can really use tail drop. So tail drop can be used for a number of things. You can, as you can see on the screen there, you can shoot B-roll. B-roll is that file kind of footage that comes as the reporter is reporting. So what would happen is that you just take a picture or small video clips, then you go, as I demonstrated earlier on, you send them to the studio network by choosing where you want the particular data to go. Right away, the one who is on the studio will just go input, add that particular data file onto your timeline, the production timeline on the studio workstation, and right away, as they are talking, the particular media can be overlaid. So that's how easy really this system can be. So how important is this? It is important because sometimes you want to tell your story in an innovative way. Gone are the days whereby something news that is happening it requires the reporter and the camera persons to take the shots, go to the studio, begin to package them, then file the report 6 hours later, when everybody else would have read, watched on social media. As journalists, we need to be competitive. We need to embrace this kind of technology to ensure that we are reporting, we are fact-checking, we are providing fresh content right on the scene. As you can see, using this particular technology, you can be able to solicit even reactions right on scene. One reporter would be on scene, another reporter will be positioned where the source that would want to react to a particular story is, and that in a way adds value to journalism that is provided in real time. This offers a chance to journalism to respond to the technological advances. Rather, I should call them disruptive technological advances that are affecting journalism in a way. So, if you find it a bit challenging, you can always contact us so that we can, have a conversation on what needs to be done in order to improve your journalism. So, my name is Malik Mnela. As you can see on screen there, I'm a media entrepreneur. I run my own company, iHub Online TV. I'm a Chevening Media Fellow of 2022. I was at Westminster University in London, United Kingdom, where I really took an interest in improving the business models of the media. That's something that I really got passionate about, but also the spirit of sharing with others, got improved whilst I was attending the Chevening Fellowship in London. But also, I'm a JamLab Fellow at the Wits University in South Africa, where I got to understand through the boot camp how to innovate for media viability. So it's something that I am passionate about, and I'm really committed to sharing with others so that together we can improve journalism. In case there are improvements that can be made, please let me know. In case there are things of interest to you that you would want to know in your newsroom setup, please let me know, so that if I don't know, I'll consult colleagues within my network that know, and I'll be glad to share with fellow journalists wherever they are. I'm not doing this alone. I have a team right here at JamLab, in particular Joe Mkandawire, who is handling the production right now, but also he is there like that particular person who will be testing things with me all the time. So I truly appreciate, and I also appreciate you for taking your time to listen and embrace this learning culture, so that together we can improve our journalism. Until next time, it's bye-bye.